Welcome back to Next Gen Investing. It's now time for FOMO, and we are discussing Oakllo, which we discuss, I would say, arguably every single day, especially given the unfavorability of solar we've seen, especially last week, and now some of the analyst commentary this week. Unfortunately, today it's not to the upside, but this name has been parabolic, so I will say everything eventually needs to reset. But with what is pretty rare for this name, and that's a downgrade today. So walk us through this note.
Yeah, Oakllo got a downgrade. They're down almost 7.5% right now, Jenny. Craig-Hallum downgraded Oakllo to hold from buy, but they raised the price target to $59 from $43. So I know those things generally don't go hand in hand. Part of why they're doing that is because they're saying at Craig-Hallum that they are on an uncharted regulatory path, and there are some concerns about that. Given its build, own, operate motto, Oaklo's charting its own path. No one has ever done this because it will be both a nuclear tech provider and the project owner. So because they have their AI data centers and other applications, Oakllo may or may not be able to meet its objectives because they have really aggressive targets for initial commercial deployment. They're saying by late 2027, early 2028, and then over the next several years following that. But because no one has ever followed this particular style path, there's a lot of unknowns as far as regulatory approval goes. Now, obviously, we've seen with this administration that they are favorable towards energy, particularly nuclear energy, and this is a type of clean nuclear energy or recycled nuclear energy. So could be more favorable for them in terms of regulation processing, but because it's an uncharted path, Craig-Hallum downgraded, but also raised the price target.
I know, which to me is always the lack of commitment because you still see upside. You still want to get on the train of the momentum that has been very favorable to the upside. And I will say that right now with the expansion of the grid, I mean, the fact that also we do have lots of energy, geopolitical headwinds to discuss. I mean, the energy conversation has definitely, I think, been one of the most interesting. Currently, nuclear only contributes to like 20% of the electricity in the United States. So I see that as massive untapped potential. But then you do look at the recent performance of this name, and it kind of makes you say, okay, I understand what this analyst is saying. I mean, we have gone truly nuclear, which is a joke I've probably beaten to death here. But just based on the recent performance here, I mean, we have been all over the place. We just looked at the range of super micro, somewhat even small compared to this name.
Absolutely. I mean, if you just look at the past 5 years, let's go fully historical here. Past 5 years, Oaklo's shares are up 457%. So obviously significant investor momentum here. In comparison, they've outperformed the U.S. electrical utilities industry. That delivered a 15.2% return over the past year. Oakllo up more than 500% during that same time. So a lot of investor backing here. They're up 190% higher just this year. So, I mean, really skyrocketing, going nuclear, as you like to say. But I think the difference here, too, with them, and they're trying to make these next-gen nuclear micro-reactors. So they're more efficient. They're walk-away safe, which is a very important part of any nuclear reactor. And they're capable of turning recycled nuclear waste into clean, reliable energy. So it is this next generation of nuclear energy and different style of fuel creation. Plus, they've reached a boatload of major milestones. I mean, just their progress and their growth is unmatched. They've got a new facility at Idaho National Labs. They have agreements with the Department of Energy, INL. They were the intended winner of the DoD contract in Alaska. I think we talked about that earlier this week, or last week. Secured a notice of intent for a clean power project from DLA Energy. I mean, this is all evidence of steady execution for a company that's not profitable yet, which is really bizarre. And they've also entered phase 1 of their combined license application. They've filed to be a licensed operator. I mean, they are really getting ready to deploy and punching above their weight while they're doing it.
They really are, and especially because, again, like I think that if you are a belief of the massive build of AI, which seemingly the market is still a fan of, that you have to believe in the expansion of alternative energy sources. And so I think there's a bit of a perception of nuclear still in this country where I actually fully support, maybe for once, some increased regulatory scrutiny, because when you think nuclear energy, it's like, well, hello, I wouldn't mind there being layers and layers of approval, just given the somewhat uncertainty in that space. But the fact that it's still clean energy, I mean, it's right now tapping into the right partnerships. I mean, I think that that's huge. But again, there's still this right now, I'd say, macro overhang that's probably also weighing on shares a bit here today.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's just a macro overhang in general that's affecting the markets. But because they are a company that has had such high investor sentiment, and analysts have been very supportive of them because of their exponential growth over the past several years, I think seeing a downgrade come in just gave everybody a bit of pause. It might have been a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction even. We'll see tomorrow if things sort of level out here. I mean, they have dipped off a bit. We're still declining, though. They're trading at 54.10. They're down close to 7% right now. So, I mean, taking a big hit on this one.
Yeah, taking a big hit, and that is the risk of a name that has, run up to the extent this one has, because its 5-year weekly chart, or the 3-year weekly is just ridiculous look.